What's good, listeners? This is Just Talking, where our guest that's going to be joining us live on YouTube is HenricK The WrecK, our CCS video game contributor on the Chris Collins Show, Millennial Talk Show. How's it going, HenricK?
Pretty good. How about you guys?
Hey, man, we're always good, especially when we got you for this special occasion, because we know right now, TwitchCon San Diego is happening at this moment. But before we even indulge into any kind of gaming news, industry talk, and so much more, the fans, the listeners, they have requested this. They loved it last time when we put you through the ringer. So, HenricK The WrecK, are you ready? Do you know what's happening right about now?
It's trivia time.
It's trivia time, baby. So Marissa and I are going to put you through the ringer.
His heartbeat just went up 1,000 degrees.
You know what? Also,
you wouldn't be wrong there.
You know what also can raise his heartbeat? Just a little bit of game show action. Let's get the music going, baby. Hey. So for everybody that's tuning in live with us, HenricK The WrecK has gotten a special trivia questionnaire that's actually geared towards a lot of the announcements that are going to be happening all of this week and at TwitchCon San Diego. So let's kick it off with question number 1. CD Projekt Red decided to give fans a look into its plans for the foreseeable future and has revealed that not only is a sequel to Cyberpunk 2077's being planned, but what popular video game turned Netflix series will receive several new titles?
The Witcher.
That is correct, my friend. Yep. I mean, are you excited? Does anybody actually still watch that Netflix series anymore? I felt like I watched season 1, but I totally forgot about season 2.
I totally watched them all.
Yeah.
Did you like it?
I loved it.
Yet either.
You know what's so sad? I feel like I gotta go.
Witcher was awesome.
Was it? Because I'm starting to feel like season 2, I might have to watch that and compare it with Rings of Power, because that's been the most disappointing series I've ever seen in my life. It's so boring, Marissa. I mean, think about it. The Fellowship of the Ring is about
Witcher, so I don't know. I don't know if I can trust you.
Fellowship of the Ring was about 2.5 hours, and there was more action in that, and we're already got 7 hours worth of content. Ooh. If you know where I'm going with this, so it's like that's pretty bad.
That's rough.
Well, yeah, it is rough, right, HenricK? But hey, let's go ahead and do question number 2. Nintendo revealed this week the first trailer for the Super Mario movie featuring actor Chris Pratt taking on the lead role. My question for you, HenricK, is what game did Mario first appear in?
Oh, that was Donkey Kong.
That is correct, my friend. And I know Seth Rogen's going to be the voice of Donkey Kong. He hasn't necessarily announced his voice, but HenricK, were you satisfied with Chris Pratt's voice?
It could have been a lot worse, but also I feel like, I don't know, it seems a little out of place, maybe. You know what I mean?
It did kind of feel a little out of place. I mean, I thought Jack Black sounds amazing as Bowser, believe it or not. I was really quite surprised. And then Charlie Day, you can't really necessarily tell, but it seems like they're hyping up a little bit of Luigi's Mansion. So I think that's kind of groovy. I think that, a lot of us video game nerds are rejoicing over the fact that, that teaser, after all, it does look pretty dope. Let's go into question number 3. It was a bittersweet moment for gamers this week as Overwatch is officially gone for good and replaced with Overwatch 2. But HenricK, my question to you is, what year did Overwatch come out?
Oh, this is an easy one for me. I'm a big fan of Overwatch 2016.
Dang! I thought that was going to be the hard one right there. Let's go into question number 4. EA Motive released the first gameplay trailer for its highly anticipated remake of its sci-fi survival horror coming out on January 27th, 2023. What is the game?
Is this Callisto Protocol?
I'll give you one more chance. It's a remake. That's the key thing. Remake.
I know which one. It's Dead Space.
That's right. There we go.
Chris. I would not have given HenricK another chance. I would not have been like, Jeopardy. There is no second chance.
I felt like you didn't hear the key term remake, so I had to give.
Doesn't matter. Jeopardy.
I had to give HenricK another chance.
I'll take the on that one.
And the very last question, let's see if you can get it, HenricK. The internet went into a frenzy last month when leaks of over 90 videos and screenshots from an early in-development alpha build of the game surfaced online. Do you know the game, HenricK?
Oh, man. Well, That's like,
what was that big leak?
I can't think of it off the top of my head, but I do remember seeing something about that.
Does Candy Sucks ring a bell?
Oh, GTA 6.
That is correct. And you know what, Henrik? We got to give you a lot of love. You did really, really good during that time. But hey, let's kick off the show because we got CCS video game contributor HenricK The WrecK with us. And it's been a colossal week of video game news with several big reveals. And today, TwitchCon San Diego is happening right now. And what's your favorite announcement this week, HenricK?
So actually last week, this game called Scorn got revealed to be coming out a week from now, which is a week earlier than it was expected to come out. It's a survival horror game. And I'm a big horror fan, so I'm really excited about that. It's very inspired by like H.R. Geiger. So like it takes place in a mysterious world of like bone and flesh. It's disgusting looking, and I love it.
You know what? I actually got a tiny little clip of that gameplay. So let's play the clip, and then you explain yourself because I feel like your head is totally mentally deranged. So let's go ahead and show the CCS family what's good. Oh my gosh, this is like fear porn.
About it.
What is going on in this clip, HenricK? Can you explain yourself?
Honestly, I don't really know what's going on either, but that's the great part about it. It's like there's so much mystery to it. And I love the style that it's showing so far because, like I said, it's disgusting, but that's the point. So...
You know what? This is something that, we're going to be talking about obviously a little bit later in this Just Talking, but you know what? HenricK The WrecK and I, we're going to be starting our own Rage Quit, which is basically our video game talk show where we're going to be talking about gaming news, industry talk, and playing some of our favorite games, and also talking to some of the developers that have made these iconic games. And I think this might have to be a first go round. HenricK, we might have to put you through the hot seat and make you play Scorn because this looks absolutely terrifying. I know for myself personally, when I was looking at all the news, I was kind of curious to see why people would be excited for Cyberpunk 2077, especially since we talked about it all last year with you as well, talking about how they were one epic fail. They delayed the game not once, but twice, but 3 times. And now, I understand that they got a new update. They fixed the bugs, but do we really have any faith in CD Projekt Red to make Cyberpunk 2077 sequel the go-to game when it comes out?
I really am skeptical because I was one of the people who bought the game on launch and experienced the problems firsthand, but I think that, they are changing to Unreal Engine 5, so they're no longer using their engine.
And what does Unreal Engine 5 mean for anybody who has no idea what you're talking about? Because that sounds very geeky when you say it, HenricK. Like, no, what are the benefits to it?
So it just speeds up and makes the process of making games a little faster because typically when you make a game, if you don't have your own engine, you have to make one, and the engine is where all the things are running. Just like a car. So like all the models for the characters, the textures, the graphics, gameplay, everything is all ran through that engine. And so CD Projekt Red has been using their own engine for all their games until this point. And then just a while ago, they said that they were going to switch over to Unreal Engine 5, which is an interesting move because, doing that, it kind of lets them, focus a little bit more on the gameplay and the graphics, rather than have to spend so much time building out this engine to make it work for the game. So, it could work for their sequel for Cyberpunk, but at the same time, I'm a little skeptical. So we'll see how that goes for them.
Yeah, I actually think this is a perfect segue because, now that you're talking about Unreal Engine 5 and how it's a little bit more accessible to all video game developers, well, Netflix is accelerating its efforts in the world of gaming by setting up a studio in Finland in hopes to make world-class games. And do you have high expectations for Netflix?
Based off of Netflix's history of like adaptations and things like that, it's a little like, this might not really be that good. But I'm keeping my mind open. We haven't seen anything yet, so it could definitely be good. It's just I think they need to learn from not only their mistakes, but the mistakes of other people who've came before them. Like Amazon just got into making big games pretty recently, like within the past couple of years, and they made this big MMO called New World, and it completely flopped. That game.
And what does MMO mean? I'm not necessarily familiar with that lingo.
So MMO stands for massively multiplayer online, and then usually what follows behind that is RPG or role-playing game.
Gotcha.
So games like World of Warcraft, for example, is an MMO. That's like probably the biggest one that people really know off the top of their head.
But I also
and New World was like that.
Gotcha. Okay, that makes sense. But I also wanted to show this graphic on screen real quick for everybody, because I was noticing that it's not just Netflix that's getting involved with, creating video games. We're also seeing our video game influencers like Dr. Disrespect, currently banned on Twitch still and talking shit about Twitch. Video Game Donkey, which a lot of people seem to be very hyped about. And 100 Thieves, which is an esports team who is going to be making their own shooter. And the reason why I bring this all up is it's like my first reaction when I was thinking about this, and I don't know, just because you pick up a controller and you know what you like and what you don't like doesn't necessarily make you a developer. Do you see this being successful?
I definitely could see there being a bit of a success in the sense of, these influencers. A lot of the times they're uplifting these indie developers who are honestly sometimes making games that are even better than the AAA games that these big studios are making. And the only thing is that those developers, them being so small, they don't really have the exposure that they need to get their audience interested. But in contrast, the influencers like Video Game Donkey, Dr. Disrespect, and 100 Thieves, like you said, they all have the audience already. All they need to do is say, hey, go check out this game. This game is kick-ass. And there you go. You got 100,000 people sometimes, looking at that. And that's definitely enough. Even if you have 10% of that to go check out the game, that's a lot more than you didn't have before.
Yeah, I think that's a fair point. I mean, man, if you can make some amazing micro content, I guarantee you're definitely going to have people at least interest enough to be able to want to click on your game and see what's good. I know Dr. Disrespect was getting a lot of crap for trying to make his game an NFT. Now it seems like no one's talking about NFTs, but I think, HenricK, you exactly nailed it on the dot. But there was also something that came up in mind for me this week, because first off, I can't thank you enough for assisting me in finding a new PC, because I know Marissa's been making me the brunt of the joke recently, especially since I keep kind of flopping. I haven't had it quite the successful start up to the Chris Collins show just yet.
Okay, you can't all be perfect like me. Like, it's all right.
Exactly. I mean, you really realize how amazing co-host Marissa Pitts is. But we're not going to be talking about her right now in this topic. We're going to be talking about something else, because, obviously we're getting ready to start up Rage Quit, our video game talk show. And, I was really exploring all the different PC game launches, and I was quite taken back at kind of overwhelmed on a level, because when you think about it, you think of game launches like Steam and Origin and Epic Games, to name a few. And doesn't this seem kind of messy? I mean, do you feel like this model will last?
It used to be that Steam was the only big platform, and competition's good. Competition is great. Being able to buy something here or here makes it so that no platform gets really complacent. And, I understand that's important. But at the same time, there's a little bit of inconvenience with the fact that there's 4 or 5 different launchers on PC for all the different games you want to play.
Yeah,
it's a little messy, like you said.
Yeah, and I guess when I was thinking about all the numerous options for video game launches just on the PC alone, it made me start thinking about our recent conversations at the beginning of the summer, like the death of the console. Doesn't it feel like the video game industry is starting to go more towards a subscription-based service instead of, cats nowadays willing to pay $80 a game?
Yeah, it definitely seems like that. I mean, it's actually ironic because now they're kind of making things how it is like for all the streaming services like Netflix and Hulu and all those, where there's so many of them. And it's going to be, if you're no longer really buying a console and you're just paying for a subscription, that's going to be one more bill to pay, which, granted, you do save a lot of money when you really do the math because you're no longer buying a console and you're not buying the games. Which can get pretty expensive, $70 now for some of them. But I think that long term, there's a lot of things that need to be changed with those services first before we can really say that is what people are going to do first. Like, reliability, and then, just like competitive games, like a bunch of shooters.
And when you say reliability, I don't mean to cut you off though, Henrik, real quick. When I was thinking about reliability, my first reaction was you're correct. I mean, I'm lucky enough to be all running on an Ethernet cable, but not everybody has that luxury in their home. Is that something that cloud gaming has to figure out, or does it start off with the internet being super successful first, and then we'll have the success of video games through the cloud?
Yeah, I mean, there's just a little added latency because, you're having to send the information to the servers and then back to your home. So, yeah, I think that first probably what has to happen is just a renovation of like internet infrastructure throughout the country. I think we're kind of behind in that sense compared to some other countries in the world. So,
yeah,
maybe we can get some innovation in the next few years. But until then, I think that's going to be the first thing that needs to happen.
I think you're right, Henrik. And let's switch up to some industry talk while we got a couple more minutes with you, because what is happening with Microsoft and Sony in recent months? I wanted to show this clip or an image real quick because Xbox has actually been dedicating a whole web page to try to defend themselves over why Sony, aka PlayStation, is in over their head. Because the last I recall, Sony was arguing that Xbox is actually going to make it so their AAA gaming will not be accessible to all devices. But right here in this poster, Xbox is arguing, no, this would be a benefit for gamers. We will be on the Xbox, PlayStation phones and online. It will be a benefit to indie developers and the gaming industry as a whole. Do you view it that way?
I mean, it's an interesting choice for them to say this, and I say choice because that's kind of what they're saying, is like that there's choice for gamers. But I think it would be a little weird if, like, for example, in a few years, imagine that the next Call of Duty doesn't come out on PlayStation, and they could definitely do that now that they bought Activision Blizzard, because man, that is a big company with a bunch of big titles on it, like Call of Duty and some others as well. And just imagine that. Like, what would you think if all of a sudden Call of Duty is not on PlayStation?
Oh my gosh, trust me, there will be the biggest uproar today. Even though there's a lot of people that are always making jokes about Call of Duty, saying it's already a broken game, like no one's really satisfied with Modern Warfare 2. I don't know about you, Henrik. I mean, I'm still rocking a PS4. I don't necessarily have the PS5, but every single time I load up their server, I can never get into a war zone. Never. If I want to get a resurgence, it comes in like no problem. So like, yeah, it is a bummer. I would really hate to see that go because, especially when I think about Activision Blizzard, I start thinking about, Xbox threat originally about, possibly taking Fallout away from the PlayStation gamer, where you would have to buy a Microsoft product. And it's like, I wish everybody would have the luxury to be able to be a PC gamer, but guess what? People don't have $1,000 to throw on a system. That's why I feel like Xbox is kind of pulling the price tag down. I noticed that they were trying to sell their consoles for about $250, kind of a slap in the face towards PlayStation, who still wants $500 to this day, and you can still never get a console. I just think that is so insane. But you know what, Henrik? Always a great time having you on the Chris Collins Show, Millennial Talk Show, and let the CCS family know what's good. Where can they follow HenricK The WrecK so you can check out his gaming memes, his industry talk, and so much more? Let them know what's good.
Yeah, so if you go to bio.link/offhandplays, you'll find all the links. But yeah, I post on Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, Twitter. And yeah, like you were saying, I post a bunch of like industry news as well as just, memes about what's going on in the industry and gaming in general. And I also, on my YouTube channel, just, play through some games, have a good time, chill out. Yeah,
hey, that's what's good. Hey, that's what's good. And HenricK The WrecK, as always, thank you again for joining the Chris Collins Show. And guys, definitely keep a lookout on our social media handles because you're going to see more announcements coming sooner than later for Rage Quit. Thank you again, HenricK. We'll see you around, my friend.
All right. Have a good rest of your day, guys.